All right, everybody, we are in day 2 of our live shows, the daily illumination. And I found that I enjoy these shows more than my regular coaching shows and things like that. And I wanted to make sure we set the tone for the daily illumination. So let's get some housekeeping done here. I want you guys to understand the daily illumination for today. A crown golden and show is but a wreath of thorns is by John Milton. And we'll start by taking a deeper walk into our path, our journey to a better version of ourselves. Part of this is illuminating, elevating to the better version of our I am illuminated version of ourselves. That takes practice, precision, a lot of inner and outer work. And then on top of that, out of the core self, our shell, the outer version of ourselves, and what we present to the world. And it means that we must begin to cultivate the mind, elevate and build. And that masterclass in of itself is a journey to abundance, advancement, and unity, internal and external. And in this world, in our given lifespan and lifetime. So let's just move forward in progressive grace, tolerance, and growth, and build and elevate to our higher form and version of oneself. So again, tune into the illuminations of the day with illuminations for the soul building sessions. And we'll continue to keep going in an open dialogue discussion for educational and growth and wellness purposes from your local YouTuber, Facebooker, Twitter, Meta, Instagram, Vigo, Clubhouse, HR Wellness, and Life Coach Certified. So again, the daily illumination for today that we're going to talk about is a crown golden in show, is a wreath of thorns. It's but a wreath of thorns, is what it says. And this comes from Illuminations, wisdom from this planet's greatest minds. And I will tell you, this is befitting for today. Today was one of those exhausting days because I had to go take care of some things for my daughter. And it's so sad to me because every time, days before I have to go handle things with my daughter, it's always these obnoxious, insidious, pathologically out of line antics and things like that. And this is the same thing that was going on when I would go to see my doctors for trauma, PTSD, dealing with hardships and those that made my life hard. I'm sharing with you guys because it hit close to home. A crown golden to show is but a wreath of thorns. Because not only did several people participate in pathological, ritual, habitual, out of line, out of order, despicable abuses, but they do this on a regular basis, and it's become a thing of separation is required. And I'm going to make it clear now, any of my students, don't come on here trying to talk and over talk or interrupt me when I'm doing my presentation, or I will boot you indefinitely. Let this be the final warning for those who do it. And I want it to be clear because I have a lot of obnoxious people, international, foreign, and domestic, who keep up their passive aggressive things that are crossing my boundaries and my comfort zones. I made it clear to my students, non-students, and those that are family, non-family, neighbors, and non-neighbors, foreign and domestic, stateside, and other states who've kept up their obnoxious, insidious behavior. And this happens online, offline, and I never seem to be able to catch a break. So I'm making it a final warning to anybody. That includes my students. I will boot you indefinitely if you come on here being obnoxious, annoying, a nuisance, or trying to take me off key or off my square, or doing insidious, obnoxious things that I made it clear I don't like. That includes family. Because when I said that I'm sick and tired, I meant that I'm sick and tired. And especially when I'm a life coach, a wellness coach, a business coach, and they've made a mockery out of my abilities, my skills, my knowledge, my leadership, my management, and my ability to do everything to my best of my entirety. And not only does it require permanent separation, it requires court, it requires charges, federal, civil, and criminal. That includes family, non-family, neighbors, neighborhood, terroristic antics, fear thy neighbor tactics, and abusive, obnoxious, insidious antics that have gotten on my last nerve. That includes the cable company being taken to court. That includes both the cable companies, Dish Network, the satellite company, That includes Cox Cable, and that includes AT&T, because the obnoxious, insidious antics have affected my business, my productivity, and my ability to do my presentations in a professional manner. And not only will it be civil lawsuits, it'll be economic and financial damages lawsuits, because as a life coach and doing these illuminations and trying to get things done and get my presentations done, these in, these incendiary, obnoxious, pathologically abusive, despicable displays of misconduct. And let me clear my throat. These despicable, obnoxious individuals, family, non-family, neighbors, non-neighbors, intimate partners, have been emotionally violent, have continued to create a wreath of thorns in my life, no matter what I try to do to improve it. And it's come to a point that they've encroached on my comfort zone, foreign, domestic, international, national, and local, non-local. And I wanted it clear as the life coach that I am not a happy camper. As you can see, I'm upset. And the reason why I'm justified upset is because I had to put up with obnoxious, childish behavior, continued escalations, and continued efforts to get underneath my skin when I had to take my child to her PO's office. And I made it abundantly clear to the PO that I've had enough of these obnoxious neighbors, and then I have to put up with phone antics, cell phone antics, and I will take the cell phone company to court. I will take the cable companies to court, and I will take family, non-family, and despicable, nasty, narcissistic neighbors, and several individuals who've been obnoxious YouTubers, provokers, and gaslighters, and false doxers on social media to court. I made it abundantly clear after I had to talk to my mother. And we're going to get into the content. I want to lay this out for you guys, how far this went today, and the obnoxious incendiary antics that led up to it today, and me finally telling my mother that I'll be glad when you're gone. Like I told her in front of the courthouse, it doesn't mean I want her dead. I'll be glad when she's gone out of my child's life and my life, and continue to provoke and gaslight me and bully me and emasculate me in front of my daughter, which I feel ashamed to even look at my daughter, because my daughter's gotten comfortable talking to me an octave too unacceptable, and I don't appreciate it. And I literally have gotten to the place that I can't stand her and her obnoxious behaviors because of my mother. And not only has my mother strategically made sure that we don't have a bond or a relationship, she's continued to incendiarily insert herself, obnoxiously incendiary, and teach my child how to provoke me and gaslight me, just like my FedExes did. And I don't want anything that's like my FedExes or my mother. I don't want to marry a man that's just like my mother, passive aggressive, narcissistic, sociopathic, pathologically abusive, provoker, and a gaslighter, then runs her dick sucker to people to act like a victim when she's not. And she pulled the same thing today. And I want you guys to understand that I dared to diffuse the issue, accept the discomfort, and accept the unacceptable, and then let them know what was absolutely disrespectful, crossing the line, and then realistic goals to separate from all of them. That includes financial, emotional, and support, and being at the mercy of my mother. And because of my FedExes, I ended up being at the mercy of my mother, and she's continued to make my life a living HE double hockey sticks and sugar honey iced tea, and raising my daughter. She's made it so miserable to be a mother that I can't stand my daughter. I'm telling you all that, and I'm sharing this with you in hardship, because it breaks my heart to tell you guys I can't stand my child. My mother's made sure that I can't stand my child because she's pathologically, habitually undermined me as a parent. She's made my life a living HE double hockey sticks and sugar honey iced tea. She's embarrassed me in front of my daughter, disrespecting me in front of my daughter since my daughter was 3, 5, 7, 12, 13, 15 when I went to go get her. And strategically, the city and county of Biscayne County, Pensacola, Florida, has enabled my mother and her obnoxious behavior and her disgusting, despicable levels of misconduct, provoke, and gaslight, and they've enabled her far too long. And then it was too late for me to try to do something about it, and my daughters decided to be as obnoxious and incendiary and abusive as my mother. That's why I can't stand her. I want you guys to know, so several YouTubers like Linda and several other people like Trees, Monica, and yeah, I'm mentioning your name because they love to make false reports. I want YouTube to know that these same YouTubers are also complicit in the provoke and gaslight. I want you guys to know how far I never got a moment's peace online and offline. So a crown golden and show is but a wreath of thorns, especially when you have people who have been an antagonistic thorn in your side. Or I've heard about the YouTubers plot that they want to get me off of YouTube to make false reports or play victims. They're no victims. A lot of them are victimizers, passive aggressive people. I had people like King Payne that talked about dust. Yes, I have a dusty house because my house actually has been tampered with. My AC unit was tampered with. OBT&E, the same individuals who tampered with my car, and I had reported to the police and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Department of Justice and asked for the help. When I reported to DCNF, nobody listened. Angel, Jim, Shan, Rosie hung up phones in my face when I had talked to them about all these obnoxious, insidious antics in Escambia County, Atlanta, Georgia. So it wasn't just Florida and Georgia. It was both states. And then when I went to people or tried to get lawyers, they hung phones in my face, both federal and civil, criminal, family law. So now you understand why I said separation is required. I wanted to set the forefront of how far these obnoxious incendiary antics have gone on. And then my own family member, who's Tasha, the same one, JV's daughter, who's friends with Nikki, is the same one who joined in these reindeer games and went in my federal records. They're sealed, double sealed, because of my deadbeat parents. Their decision to be deadbeats and not take care of their children because, one, I took on black coloring. My sister took on black coloring. We are mulatto. We are mixed. But our white side of our family was worried about our skin color. We weren't going to get the adequate protections in the 80s. I was told this on social media. But I want you guys to understand the thorns that I wear and the crown that I wear is heavy. I don't want the title. I don't want the power, and I don't want to do the authority because I've watched people abuse their power and authority and keep up their obnoxious incendiary antics. That includes the Russian bots, the troll farm that Tina Lawson had, that Monica had, all about the tea, the same obnoxious YouTuber who Tasha knows. So now you guys understand what I've gone through and how many times that they've done it. I'll give you an example. All these little things, you see that? You see that? I want you guys to understand what I've been dealing with these obnoxious troll farms. And those are Russians. You can see the actual lettering. So I'm putting them in timeout and blocking them. But this is the same thing that I had to deal with, and I had reported to cable companies. I reported to local police departments. I reported it to, several agencies, and nobody did anything. But I got crazy made fun of. The ex-president Donald John Trump came to Pensacola, but he knows my aunt. I don't like my aunt. I look just like her. That's what's in those records. That's what's sealed. My aunt knows those white people overseas were related to the UK people. I don't like them. They know I don't because the deadbeat parent is over there in the UK. The other deadbeats in the United States. But their decisions to be passive aggressive, provoke and gaslight, trigger trauma, and upset me because it would reveal what kind of deadbeats they are. It would reveal that they are failures and parents, that they adopted us out, covered up their being parents, and lived their best life. So this is what leads me to this book. A crown, golden and show, is but a wreath of thorns. Do you desire to be a leader? Are you merely a seeker of power and privileges? The leaders that receive. People may see their king on a throne or their queen on a throne and wonder why one human is allowed to reign above another, believing that they are deserving of a life they believe to be easy. But when war comes to their gates, will they have the courage to decide whose children must be sent to fight and die, whose adults must be sent to fight and die, and whose will may stay alive, stay and live? When the crown of a prince's father or princess's father or grandfather adorns his head, will be he or she be held to defend their citizens? When you go to answer no one answers your cries for help. It is easy to strive for the benefits of power while overlooking their great responsibilities. If you're meant to be a leader, seek wisdom over riches. Those with power and no wisdom often lose it. Those with wisdom and no power often gain it. So it's just like I was often told, the meek shall inherit the earth. And I don't want to inherit the earth. I just want to inherit wisdom. I want to inherit leadership, being able to follow through even when there's times that get rough, or when there's accountability and responsibility and I have to stand up to the plate and say, yeah, I screwed up. Yeah, I was wrong. But in adversity, stand up even harder. I signed an oath against enemies and foreign and domestic to defend and my mission to go first. I signed that oath in 2017. That would be exactly 5 years ago in April, I believe, when I first signed my first oath. And in that, I took it seriously because sometimes your enemies, foreign and domestic, can be friends, family, neighbors, foreign and domestic. It can be across state lines. So when it comes down to the mission, my mission comes first. I'll explain why in just a few. I want you guys to listen to this so that you guys can understand my thoughts and breaking down the text. That's page 11, and that's in the Illuminations, Wisdom from this Planet's Greatest Minds. And I wanted to break it down to you guys in short order form so that we can begin to overcome fear, part 2. That's going to be the lesson today after we get through with my thoughts on this. So we're going to break this down a bit, okay? And I want you guys to understand me because I see a lot of people who are committed to misunderstanding me, and that includes family. And I want you guys to understand where this is coming from, wholly from the heart, and not trying to be disrespectful, rude, or insult, or hurt, or harm anybody's emotional health, mental health, or any type of level of disrespect or misconduct. I want you guys to understand this is coming from a person who's been hurt and who's been harmed and still chooses to love, who chooses to live, who chooses to strive past hardship, obstacles, and agents of saboteur and provocateur. That does not mean federal agent. It means agents, people, inputs, outputs. That means neighbors, neighborhood, community, emotionally violent individuals, emotionally violent incendiary bullies, provokers, and gaslighters. People who've crossed the line and they've done it once many times, then they want to turn around here, play victims, or run to courts and do legal abuse, emotional abuse, tormenting, or using police departments at their disposal, like Kenyatta, Linda, Archie, Larry, Linwood, people that I discussed in the PO's office today. And I want you guys to understand where this came from. Because earlier today, I wasn't happy about going to the PO's office because they always do these obnoxious things. And you guys know that, I've had to put up with this one too many times. And Keisha Lewis is the PO, those who are my daughter. And I want to address the obnoxious antics and playing in my face. She's improved because I addressed it. Keisha Lewis and I came to a good understanding that we have to continue to support my child. That's all that matters. And I've also made it clear in front of Keisha Lewis that me and my mother will continue to work together to support this child and her success in overcoming what she had to go through because of Trinity Pope, the little white girl that called my daughter the N word, the B word, 15 or 16 times at school within earshot. My daughter got tired of her and they got into it. But this child's playing a victim. But the public pretender, Susan Gutman, sat there and said, well, your child's going to be called the N word and the B word all her life. I said, but does that make it okay? So I want you guys to understand what I've been told and how far they want to sit there and act like that's okay to do because it's the little white girl who did it. But if it was a black girl who did it and a little white girl beat up on a black girl, it would be whole okay with it. And they would be sitting up there allowing all this. So I want you guys to understand the hardship, the obstacles, the thorns, and the constant levels of incendiary abuses and provoking and gaslighting. And no, I don't forget the city and county because they protected the little girl and her abuses and her verbal vitriol, and she took it to school because her white homegirl is the one who went in her account and did that, but then she blamed it on my daughter. Now you understand why I would never forgive the city and county, that why I would never forgive all the antics of buffoonery, why all these antics are adding onto the thorns and the heavy crown that I wear, and the heartbreak that I have in saying that I can't stand my daughter because she acts just like my mother. And she's gotten up with this narcissistic, sadistic please, and my mother's put her up to it plenty of times. Doesn't mean I don't unconditionally love my daughter. I'm just tired of putting up with her crap and her disrespect. And I don't deserve it. Just as she told me I didn't deserve what my exes did to me. Then I don't deserve her nasty mouth and how she talked to me and yelled at me to get out of the car when my mother was provoking and gaslighting me, but she didn't yet yell at her grandmother and tell her she was wrong. Now you guys understand her loyalty lies with my mother, who undermined me as a parent because of my exes and their hardships they caused me and caused DCNF to get involved. And DCNF didn't do anything to protect me, but they protected them because they're police officers' sons or DEA agents' sons and daughters. Now you understand exactly what I went through. It's not the DEA's problem. It's the locals that are the problem. They dropped the ball. They insulted my intelligence, and they played my face one too many times. They used my daughter, and what I was told with DCNF, my daughter was promised to go to Disney World, Disneyland, when she was 7 years old, and that's why they told her to tell lies. It was confirmed. So I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. But I wanted to share with you guys hardships so you guys could understand why I've gone through the things that I've gone through, why it has damaged me, why I act the way I do, why I respond the way I do, and why these neighbors don't need any type of free pass. They're no victims, they're victimizers. Just like the kidney that just moved in next door and the DEA informant's house. Levant Bryant, Giselle Bryant, Kobe Bryant, and them sister and family. Jamal Bryant, them DEA informants. These same people who are interconnected to the same situations for a number of years. I want you guys to understand that in hardship, in hindsight, is 2020. I regret moving back. I regret being told to quit my good paying job in Atlanta, Georgia, approving decent enough applications. I had a $17 an hour job. It was going to go up to $23 an hour. Dr. Deborah Gould destroyed my life by telling me I lied to come back to the same place that has toxically, obnoxiously, insidiously, ambiently, pathologically abused me. That includes these neighbors, Kenny, Linda, Archie, Larry, with his Habitat house, the same one that I reported these issues to Habitat. And I'll be taking them to court for the $149,000 worth of equity and damages in my house. I want you guys to understand all of this. I want you guys to understand Monica's pot control farm and the difference. I want to show you guys the Russian troll farm so you know the difference. So I'm getting it from both ends. I want you guys to see it for yourself. The law has been blocked. And in my daily illuminations, I'm going to stay focused. But I wanted you guys to understand what I had told Cox Cable, what I told AT&T, Dish Network about the Russian bots, the troll farms on social media, all the provoke and harassment, organized domestic terrorism, the emotional abuse, the tormenting, the gaslighting, the bullying, the doxing, the things that Nosy Hose Live did to me. Carol, Nosy Hose, Ashley's own girl, Ashley Fee German, the informant and snitch that dates Nosy Hose. I want you guys to understand which toxic YouTubers had these plots and schemes and scams, because they're all Monica's homeboys and homegirls, Tasha's homeboys and homegirls, unwind with Tasha K. That's actually my cousin, JV's daughter. I don't like her. I can't stand her. That's Nikki's homegirl, my FedEx John Kenny, new wife. I want you guys to understand the hardships that I've been put through. And Tasha's the same one who said she works for the feds. Now you know who went in records. Toxic Diamonds, her homegirl that went in my records and played about my uncle. I want you guys to understand the incendiary abuses, the toxic and the obsessed, nasty, narcissistic antics that it displayed, and several individuals who took it to industry and played in my face, played with my family. I got wealthy, well-connected family. Roy Jones is my cousin. I don't know him like that, but his uncle actually went to school with my mom. I went through this. Lisa Leslie, the basketball player, WNBA, is my cousin. She married into my family due to her sister who married my cousin. Now you guys understand exactly how far deep it goes. Because when they've affected my family, professional, personal, and then I get affected because of the same disgusting, despicable antics and buffoonery in Pensacola, where Roy Jones is from, where Lisa Leslie and my family is from. Lisa Leslie's from New Orleans, but they know my family. So now you guys understand how far this went. So Tasha Transrena Kibi needs to find something safe to do. Nikki, her girl, who is married to my FedEx, John Kinney, needs to find something safe to do. Because in this daily illumination, my heavy crown that I wear is because I literally have entitlement to that from the UK. But I don't want that title because I realize people in positions of power and authority can abuse it. They did it to me. They didn't care. They didn't care how they were affecting me. My deadbeat mother and father didn't care as long as they got to live their best life and not take care of their two original kids. I got selfish family members who are worried about getting their crown, the throne. They can have it. I don't like them. That would be William and Kate IT antics that I traced to Liverpool and England. Now you guys know how I really feel about all the obnoxious antics. And when I traced it to Liverpool, I had to deal with a lot of obnoxious things, deadly, harmful, hateful things. And it's the white bird beak lady that came down to Pensacola, and the judge was the guy that was over it, and that was Mr. Rothschild. Now you guys know how I really feel. Ann is the white woman that I remember, my Ann. And they used to call me Ann in the house. They used to call my sister Shiv in the house. You mean the British Knights? That's my uncle, Marion. Auntie Deborah is my aunt, Deborah Lee. They divorced. When they were teenagers, they got married. I'm not happy about none of this. Because that heavy cross I've had to bear and be the whipping girl for some despicable, nasty deadbeats and then aunts and uncles who take us in, and then we get readopted out, and then I have to go through the hardships I went through because of an obnoxious, sadistic, undiagnosed sociopath grandmother who got us and beat us, beat them to the punch to get us because we were supposed to be going to Gulf Breeze. The Taylors are the family. Now you know how deep, far down the rabbit hole it is. I don't like Noah Taylor. He knows, oh, the one I look like. That's one that's in my federal record sealed. Now you know exactly how far these buffoons took it. Now you know how far they've affected me. I want permanent separation because deadbeat Anne and Andre need to stand trial. I want nothing to do with them. I don't want to dance with my father. I can't stand him. I don't like Anne. And their obnoxious antics have cost me a lot. O's nasty behind, the one that I'm related to and look just like, that's what's sealed in those records. They're at the CIA level. They had to be put there because of my diplomatic family. Foreign. Now you know exactly how Onika was going in records. And Tasha was going in records because Tasha works for the feds. Itty bitty piggy Minaj has done a lot. Played in my face and put it on Twitter. Asked questions or talked about BET. You mean Deborah Lee? My middle name is Lee. It's Cher Lee. So Brandy, who was playing about my first name and sitting on YouTube playing Nasty Behind games, Ray J's little Nasty Behind sister, Miss Sonia's daughter, can find her something safe to do. I have a white girl first name. I was named after my aunt, Deborah Lee. So Nikki was asking about BET, that's my aunt. Little Debbie needs to be smacked a little bit. Ow! I want you guys to understand in this illumination, sometimes you got to shed light on the dark. And then sometimes they say light drives out darkness. And I'm driving out all the darkness. That includes foreign domestic. That includes nasty family members who had a scandal so far deep down the rabbit hole. Auntie O can go find herself something safe to do. Ow! Because that's who helped do the paperwork for Anne. My FedExes who went to the OWN network, and it was confirmed by Kristen Scott about the OWN network IT antics. Lee Daniels, who had to deal with Nikki. Kenny's wife. Now you guys know. Since everybody likes playing in my face and being obnoxious, abusive, disgusting, horrible. John used to work for the Kardashian West. He used to work for Clifford Harris, Tamika Diane Cottle Harris. Now you know that I wasn't making any of this up. I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. So let's get into how I feel about this reading. Because I wanted to go to this, calm myself down, and I asked myself, do I desire to be a leader? Or am I merely a seeker of power and privileges that leaders receive? I decided I'd rather be a leader instead of a follower. I decided that I don't care about privilege and power because I've watched people abuse it, including those that are related to me. I wanted to humble them before I got into how I feel about different things. Because in my own situation, I've literally gone through some things that would break anybody's heart. And I believe in accountability and responsibility. And I do believe in leadership and management is something of a learned thing. I believe that once it's bestowed upon you, you have to remain humble, or you should be humbled. So I thought this illumination for today was a great build that we could build and grow off of. I do agree that a crown is a golden show, but a wreath of thorns. Most of the time, people don't understand the hardships, obstacles, even leaders in management are faced with. People in positions of authority are faced with. The balance is not abusing it when it's given to you. People believe life is easy for people in a position of authority and power, but the main problem is that there's a lot of people who have the power and authority, and they abused it daily, continuously. That's the exact reason why I'm not quick to want leadership and power, because I know that it's a balance. It's just like page 45, and I'll read it to you guys. And it's quite interesting. There it is. When you, okay, here it is. Yeah. That's different. Page 45. Just a second. It's about power and authority. It's page 45 before. Uh, Here we go. Here it is. There's page 45. It's the other page. Well, the original page that I had in the old version was page 45, and it says people with a position of power who have authority will abuse it, and when they abuse it, they have to be removed. But this new page in page 45, love will find a way, indifference will find an excuse. When you love someone, it can be difficult to realize they do not love you back. Disloyalty, harshness, apathy can be brushed aside, ignored when seen through eyes clouded with affection. Far too many hearts are blinded by betrayal, missing the clues they did not want to see them. So we'll go on to page 45 probably at another date. But the original old page 45 before this new version of this book, I figured was important. As you can see, I'm not touching that. Those are the IT buffoonery and antics that have gone on plenty of times. Cox Cable will be sued. They will be sued into oblivion. So will Amazon, and so will AT&T. So back to what we're saying. So in that, I want you guys to understand my words here. Just like page 45 in the old Illuminations. People believe in life as being easy, but in page 45 of the old Illumination, it said people who are in a position of authority and power are afraid to lose it. That's what makes them abuse it. So that's what brings me to the text on page 11 of the new Illuminations. Because I found that the old page 45 in that book rings true. And the new page 45 about love is different. And when I tell you sometimes you cannot love somebody who will betray you, who will incendiary abuse you, provoke you, gaslight you, torment you, embarrass you the way that these people have, that includes foreign and domestic. That includes foreign and domestic family members who are ashamed to have black children. I want them shamed. I want it being revealed. Because you can't love people who betray you, hurt and harm you, and continue to sit there and do things to you and create a war within, emotional, mental, psychological, and damage you, and then turn around and play victims. The only victim in this situation is my daughter. The only victim in this situation is me. The only victim in this situation is my sister, and by proxy, some of my family. Because the same people who had a hand in all of this didn't love me enough to tell the truth. They only told the truth because they were forced to. So that brings me to this part here. But when war comes to our gates, will we have the courage to decide whose children must be sent to fight and die, who's to stay alive and live? So when you answer to no one answers your cries for help. So when I cried for help and I answered to no one, the thing is, there is a higher God. There's a higher authority. I trust the process. I trust God and that higher authority to trust the process and the outcome. So in all of that, when I wrote this, I wanted you guys to understand that people who have power and authority, and though they abuse it daily, continuously, that's the exact reason why I'm not put to want leadership and power. Because I want to make sure that I'm always humble, so that when it's bestowed upon me, that I never do the things that were done to me. Being toxically shamed and blamed for having reasonable response to the gross levels of negligence, malfeasance, gross miscarriage of justice, failure to intervene, failure to report accurately, failure to document accurately, all the things that were done to me. So all those that have continued to do all these different things that were talking about my house being dusty, like the King Payne guy. My house is dusty. I have a maid that's going to be coming in. I have to pay $350 to have my whole entire house organized and cleaned so I can move these boxes out of here before I get ready to move, finally. But these same toxic, abusive antics are going on because Allison is the one who wired my house unlawfully, illegally. I asked them to get the wiring stuff out of my house. They sat there and tried to lie to me and say it wasn't wired, but it was, because it was tested by federal agents, and it's also tested by me, and I'm not a federal agent. I just went to school for technology. So I was able to do a peripheral test. So that partition that was locked on my Beats computer that they got in my house and gouged into, provoked and gaslit, and they continued to steal my belongings like Mandy Rose and several individuals, including Joseph Solifaw. I want warrants for their arrest because I don't find it funny. This is what I addressed over there at the PO's office because I'm fed up with it and the obnoxious family antics overlapping. I wanted to give you guys precedents about hardships, obstacles, and those that create it or cross boundaries. So, any of this that we do desire to be a leader, or are you merely a seeker of power, privileges that leaders receive? People who see kings and queens, but they don't know what the realities in ruling a nation, ruling a country, responsibility that's required to wear that heavy crown. So, when you have no one to answer to, no one hears your cries for help. And I thought about that as many times I went to the help for help, and the same people who signed oaths to defend against enemies, foreign and domestic, that included our neighbors, that includes our family, that includes people who failed me. The people who incendiary abused, provoked, gaslit, like this pygmy that came here, that Deborah installed over here. Deborah at Emerald Coast Realty, Devon Snell's girlfriend, Sasha Banks, who came down here and called me petty. I want to give you guys prime examples of how far incendiary, abusive it was when people had positions of power and authority and abused it, provoked me, gaslit me, played IT antics, technology abuses. You just saw it for yourself. And you saw my hands are full. But you see how they've done me. You see how they've done me plenty of times and been obnoxious, like Kevin at the police department. Kelvin, rather. How Agent Caitlin was being abusive, obnoxious. Agent Humphreys, Agent Clinton, Barbosa, Moraz, Larson, Lawson, LB Tina Lawson, Melissa Lawson. So you understand how Holly Ramsey mistreated me. But I asked to speak with Chief Leiter plenty of times about these abuses. I asked to speak to GCNF, Angel, Jim, Shan, Kevin at GCNF hung up phones. Juan hung up phones in my face. Desiree hung up phones in my face. But then there was Agent Desiree down there in Miami, Perez, hung up phones in my face. SafeLink track phone, Network 10, tampering the phones, so I couldn't receive my phone calls. Now you guys understand that's under DCNF contract. Yeah, I was on an Obama phone. I got several YouTubers who like to play in my face about benefits, EBT, food stamps. Yeah, I've been on the food stamps, so what? You might have the tables turned and you might end up on EBT food stamps. But I want you guys to understand how obnoxious and insidious this was. Ronika, Queen Nika, playing in my face. The rumors are true. Yeah, medical misdiagnosis, medical kidnap of a child, provoke and gaslight of an autistic high-functioning adult. Yeah, those rumors are true. Maybe Chris can put Queen Nika, the hog, Pooh Black in their place, King Oz in their place, and tell them to stop coming over here on my platform when I'm talking and speaking, or playing my face. Or maybe my student international can learn his place and stop coming on here being obnoxious. Then I have to put him in his place. Maybe I can tell my mother yet again on social media to stop being obnoxious, abusive, passive-aggressive, teaching my daughter to be disrespectful, playing in my face, being encouraged by her grandma, getting rewarded for her bad behavior. But my child had to learn because I told her, your mouth is going to get you in trouble. I had to tell her somebody's going to pop and beat the brakes off of you if you keep this up, because I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go to jail for you. I'm not going to lose my career for you. I'm not going to lose my mind and have my heart broken anymore behind you. I love her. I just can't stand her. And then my mother had the audacity to sit there and say we have no bond. No, we don't, because you made sure we didn't. You made sure you inserted yourself as a surrogate parent and tried to undermine me as a parent. I want you guys to hear these hardships. I want to share with someone who's sitting up there hopeless, upset, angry, mad at the world. Because when you went to the help helped themselves to cover up malfeasance, miscarriage of justice, misdiagnosis, because they were either bought off or paid off not to do so, because Monica worked for DCNF. Her son's a police officer's son, a DEA agent's son. But they can go around here and bully me on social media. And my own dusty family, Tasha. Same one who went after Cardi, Nikki's homegirl. I don't know Belle Salas, Malina's, Alamenzar. I only know her through Brittany Zachary Davis, Radrick Davis' sister, my homegirl. Just like Diva Holloway, my other homegirl, Earl Simmons, TMX Simmons, people. Serena McKee, the same one that sat there on Monica Toomer House and All About the Tea with the bishop, who said they want to slay a dragon. But I've got a dragon tattoo. But they all blame it on Monica and said she wrote it in the script. Now do you guys understand what psychiatric abuse is? Provoking gaslight, word salad, and these same toxic, obnoxious YouTubers who played in my face and thought it was funny to talk about my dusty house. At least I own a house. It's almost paid for. Yes, it's a Habitat house. It means I have a mortgage. I'm not on Section 8 campaign. HUD has two different divisions. They do have HUD housing. That's $25 rent for low income, low credit. But see, HUD has another level and division, and that's Habitat for Humanity for Jimmy Carter, ex-president Jimmy Carter, who created Habitat housing. Just like that song, Andre Young song, and Twin Babies in the mid-'80s, like a Habitat house. I stay in a Habitat house. That means housing urban development. That's a federal program to give mortgages. I got a mortgage because I had the credit to get one. So this dusty house is worth $149,000. They damaged $50,000 worth of equity in my house, damaging it. So you know what that means in escrow and equity and whatnot. So I'm going to have to fix my house that my FedEx is damaged. That got my house campaign, Conscious TV, that y'all consciously like to play obnoxious, insidious antics, but y'all support Tasha transferring to Kibi. That's JV's daughter, Essie's daughter, my cousin, a dumbass. I wanted to humble everybody so that they understood the layers of the interconnections. That's what I meant about defending against enemies, foreign and domestic. That includes obnoxious, insidious, disgusting, disparate, profane family members. Nikki's homegirl, Tasha. Onika Petty, the same girl that got cussed out 13 years ago. The same one that I asked my FedEx who Nikki was. He said it was his sister. That's his homegirl, his sister. When he was teching on the phone. The same one that changed her number multiple times. So that explains Jennifer Huff explaining the numbers that changed multiple times. The 516 number to an 8-something number. Now you guys know that I never lied about this. Couldn't make this up if I wanted to. My same FedEx who worked for the Kardashian West. The government informants, it's been confirmed. The feds are the ones who confirmed it, and I showed you guys the receipts. I want you guys to understand these hardships, because in my thought processes and all this, I want you guys to understand when you have no one to answer to, or when no one hears your cries for help, and when you go to the help, and the help helps them to covering up things because the wealthy, well-connected. Oh, just like this obnoxious, insidious, abusive, nasty white billionaire who told me billionaires and millionaires are in on this. Oh, I can have you killed. I can have you murdered. Just like the white boy that got my house and cut me with razors. Just like Bradley Albert Childs, that's Stormisha Storm Monroe that I went to high school with. The same EP that Nikki made about high school. Oh, you mean Queen, the EP. Now you guys know. Those are sealed for my federal records. I'm not a Fed. I'm not CIA. I'm not FBI. I'm not Department of Justice. I'm not DEA. But now you guys know exactly what I went through. And these same obnoxious folks sat there and abused their position, authority, and power, their connections. The feds aren't the problem. The feds are the ones who tried to save my life, and so did the CIA. Now you guys know why I don't have a problem with them. They're what saved my life. I would be dead and murdered as of 2017 if it wasn't for them stepping in, sending paperwork. But Carlos Ellie, who's DEA that was hired by OWN Network, who was sleeping with Monica Toomer Allison, Uzziah Zeke Allison, who used to work for the OWN Network, who used to work for Miss Carter Knowles, who used to work for the Kardashian West. Freaky Zeke Z. Allison, these people. Gianna Avery Allison, the little girl that was in my house. Star Love on YouTube. Now you know how obnoxious and incendiary it was, and B's little antics backfired in her face. O's antics backfired in her face. Because my baby daddy knows O from 1991, 1993. Now you know. He was in New York. He has a daughter in New York. Now you know what it was about, because he was arrested by the DEA. He's not DEA, not that I know of. His cousin is KG, that Averhart was talking about. KG Averhart. Donald Ray Millender is my baby's daddy. And I'm done being toyed with. I want you guys to understand it's Illuminations, that you got to go and face the darkness. So you can come to the light. Trust the light. Fear not. Trust the process. I want you guys to understand that the same people who signed oaths to defend against enemies, foreign and domestic, they forgot their oath. Because when I needed to be defended, nobody defended me but myself. The only other person who defended me is my daughter, and they punished my daughter in the city and county. The little white girl can call her the N-word. They wait 6 months to go serve my daughter that warrant. And my daughter ended up having to go to court and be arrested because of a little white girl calling her the N-word. Where's the justice in that? But I went to the help for years. Now you know why I don't have any faith in certain things. But it was only Department of Justice, FBI, CIA, that literally looked into this, went back and pulled the calls, heard what I had said, went back and pulled recent calls, and they realized some of their agents were corrupt because I'll get out and need to be terminated and fired. Because one thing that they told me when that man came down here, the FBI agents, undercover agent, that said they know the director of the FBI, they said, "We'll tell director, because this is ridiculous and you shouldn't be put in danger. You can't get your car back because it was set to blow up. I could have died and I could have been murdered. OBT&E were responsible for messing with my car. OBT&E were responsible for stealing my sales and tax use license out of my home. I don't find it funny. I don't find tampering with my AC unit funny. I don't find putting ether and cyanide in a car funny. I don't find messing with brake pedals funny. I don't find being near Michael Jackson overdoses and whatnot funny. And the complicit doctors that were bought off and paid off to do it. Francesca Barrett, Annie Sherian, Jennifer Upcraft, Kabari Samanta. Because when I was threatened in DC now, sat up there and told me to sign paperwork. Tiffany Williams, MSW, LSW, Sean Parker, Phoebe Leonard. I went to school at the Nasty Narc. Joseph Leonard's sister, Joseph Leonard, that died and passed away. So now you know how complicit and deep down this rabbit hole was. And then when I have to deal with the same ex-president who is related to my aunt that I look just like, it hurts my soul because I cussed her out. Because they say that was her that was sitting on my stream. She got her butt cussed out. I don't have any problems with it because I don't respect her. Because my same Fed exes went to her network. Their father worked for her network. Quentin Latham, Funky Dineva Ross is the same one that was playing in my face about my FedEx. That's T.S. Madison, Timothy Penton's homegirl. That's the same trans that was on Black Planet saying he doesn't mess with fat. When he was fat, then he lost weight and became Kenneth Petty, Arizona State President, had his jaw broken, and that was confirmed by the feds. I was briefed about this in Atlanta. I was briefed about this in Florida. The feds let me know. They said, don't say anything. Just let it be what it is. Let them dig a hole for themselves. And I did. Because the mission here is to save myself, save my daughter, whether we get to talk to each other ever again. Because after this, I don't think I really want to talk to her. Because my mother's encouraged her abusive antics, provoke and gaslight. My mother's destroyed our bond. But one thing about being a mother, you can't really truly break a mother's love for her child. You can't truly break that bond. I'm doing this right now because I want my child to be saved. I don't want my child to be the sacrificial lamb in this. I want my child to live to be an incredible young lady. I want her to go off to college because, like Keisha Lewis and I said, my daughter has potential. She made a mistake with the school stuff. She's going to an alternative school right now because of the little girl. But my daughter has to learn how to close her mouth. She's going to deal with obnoxious, nasty, evil folks just like the little white girl that are going to call her names. But I want her encouraged, whether white or black, to never use a racial epithet because she knows how it hurt her and pissed her off. I don't ever want to see her call a white person the C word, just as I don't want a white person calling her the N word. I want her to remember she is 25% white because of me. I'm 50% white, but I identify as black. I'm proud of both sides. I'm just annoyed with both sides. But in all of this, that includes our neighbors and includes our family, the people who failed me, failed to protect this child, threatened to call DCNAP, threatened to call police because they know they were wrong and obstructed justice. I wanted to paint a picture in this illumination for the day, so I don't ever have to talk about this again. I don't end up being hot-shotted. I don't end up dead and murdered in my house, people lying on me, provoking me, or police officers that are local that were corrupt, that lied on paperwork, tell me they hope I die, or mention Sandra Bland. Or corrupt DEA Susan Wolf can sit around here encouraging police to be as corrupt and wrong. But they turn around and apologize and say, Miss Nix, we're sorry. We need more training. When even the assistant chief of police says, I'm sorry, if we have officers acting like this, I want to apologize and we'll get rid of them. They have no business being here. It's an embarrassment to the force. The same thing with over at this sheriff's department. If we have corrupt officers or officers that aren't doing right, we want them gone. This is not what we signed up for. This is what they told me. This is what officers told me. And they apologized to me. And that, I can accept that. Because I know it's bigger than me. The heavy crown of thorns that I wear has become so unbearable and hard to wear, but I have to remain stoic. I have had to continue to try to improve my argument as I deal with obstacles after obstacles, hardship after hardship, undeserving hardships. Sorry, guys. A little dusty in here. I have to get the vents cleaned. And after hardship and the ultimate sacrifice has been being a parent. Children can't be sent to fight and die. They have not yet had a chance to live, just like my daughter. Just one moment, you guys. I got a lot of issues with my allergies and they're acting up. Children can't be sent to fight or die. They haven't had a chance to live. My daughter hasn't had a chance to be a child. She has yet to be an adult. She hasn't even gotten a second chance at life yet. But the ultimate sacrifice is having to go through what I've gone through regarding my daughter, realizing even children get sacrificed because of failure, leadership, and management from adults. Imagine what my child's gone through, emotionally, mentally, watching her mother go through this. Imagine how angry my child is when she's watched me get treated like a third-class and fourth-class citizen. Imagine how hurt my child is and how she's taking it out on me. Imagine that it hurts me to say I can't stand her sometimes because of her behavior towards me. She's an angry child. She's an upset child. But she is a child deserving of unconditional love. That's the hard part. That's the heartbreaking part. Every day, as a mother, as a life coach, as a wellness coach, that I can't even control my own damn personal life. It's not been easy. Because I've watched my child slip through my fingers while she's living. I love my baby. There's times when I can't stand her because she reminds me of how my mother acts towards me. And I hate that I have to tell you guys that. Because as a life coach, I always pride myself on being able to control my life, control the outcome of my life. But in all of this, in the Illuminations, I learned but what if then. And the self-discipline and mastery, I learned but what if then. And I've dealt with every but what if then. Hardships and obstacles, provocateur, saboteur. It's heartbreaking. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to die from a broken heart. Just like Carlos Ellie came on Twitter and said, do you ever think you're going to die alone? No. When I do die, hopefully it'll be when I'm elderly. Hopefully my heart continues to repair itself. Hopefully I'll be my grandmother's age plus 10 years and add 3 to grow. So I'll be 113 years old. My grandma died at 97. My real grandma is still alive. She's 95 or 96. My granddad died when he was 99. And when I tell you guys it's heartbreaking, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody for emotional support. All I had is people that had their own personal agenda, and they didn't care. I was expendable. They sacrificed my health, my mental health, my emotional health. They sabotaged my career. They sabotaged my abilities. They sabotaged my presentation. They sabotaged me so many times as a parent. And none of them have any remorse, except for a few. And even at that, my mom, even though she's been my biggest bully, provoker, and gaslighter, she's also a victim too. And I'm still standing up for her. because the mission is to protect against enemies, foreign, direct, domestic, regardless if it's even my mother. But she's also a victim in this because she didn't have to stand up and take care of my daughter, whereas DCF was going to take her because of my ex and their disgusting families. I give respect where it's earned and due, whether I was respected or not. I'm humbled like that. It's hard for me not to cry because shit hurts. Y'all don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what I survived. What I survived and was designed to kill me would probably make some of you kill yourselves or commit suicide. I chose not to. I'm not suicidal. I don't have suicidal tendencies or ideation. I never have. I don't plan on killing myself. I don't want my daughter to kill herself. I don't want my daughter to commit suicide. I want her to be here. I want us to have a better bond. Because the one we have is unconditional because I imprinted with her. I think about my baby every day. I think about her when I kissed her and she smiled, no teeth in her mouth. When I changed her and her sticky dot, ew. And then I think about when she smelled so good, like English roses. And her little eyes went from dark to light because she's got her eyes change colors like mine. And I think about her all the time. And it's killing me. My heart is broken in a million pieces. And I choose to live every day. I choose not to jump out of here. Even though people told me, I hope you die. I hope you kill yourself. So we don't have to deal with this shit. I've had the most painful hardships. And the crown I wear is heavy. I don't need a title to be a queen. I am a queen. Unfortunately, I don't care about that title. My granny, I'll always love her, but I can never forgive her. My mother, I will always love her, but I can never forgive her. My father, I will always love him, but I can never forgive him. Because these hardships ruined my life, my outlook on life, my outlook on humanity, and my outlook on being a mother. I carried my daughter 8.5 months. She was 19.5 inches, 5.8 ounces. My lanky little girl is the reason why I'm still here. And I didn't check out when people told me to. My exes, their friends who harassed me, terrorized me on the internet. My own damn stupid ass cousin, desperate for fame. I'm ashamed to say this, that's my cousin. I don't like her. I can't stand her. And the thing is, the unconditional love I have for my daughter is I'm willing to forgive my daughter because she didn't get a chance to live. She didn't get a chance to have a life and be a kid. I want you guys to understand because of failure in leadership and management from adults, they had a responsibility. When we think about our war-stricken families and poverty, we think about the different things that happen foreign and domestic. We all sign it over to protect against enemies, foreign and domestic. That includes war at home. I decided that my mission, my oath was more important than family, to make it to the other side. It's easy to overlook responsibilities and overdose in power and control and authority. But the main thing that we should never do is think that we can avoid accountability. When we do that, you sacrifice someone for the wrong reason. Then my mission comes first, my family comes second. I know a lot of people will sit there and say, why would you put your mission before your family? Because sometimes it comes at the cost of family sacrifice. It comes at the cost of emotional, mental, financial. I've been through all of that, and the same people sacrificed me, my emotional health, my mental health. They didn't care. Some of them, not all. And when we sign these oaths to defend against foreign, domestic, sometimes even that means our own family. Sometimes it means some of other people that we hold near and dear and close to us. I've been faced with that. My oath means more to me than my family. I put my mission first and my oath first. And I paid dearly for it, including losing my daughter at 7. I'm not afraid to cry about it because sometimes I've been strong too long. My little girl has had to be strong too. And for 8 years, I didn't cry. I sucked it up. I soldiered on. It's been effing hard. I soldiered on so many days when I wanted to quit. It's been hard. My little girl, you don't understand that she's alive, but I lost her because everybody pathologically thought this was safe and okay to do. Greed won over responsibility, leadership, managing, mitigating the harm. So for years, I've sat there and been in my daughter's life. I've never been a deadbeat parent. I've struggled on a fixed income. I've been on food stamps. I have been on a fixed income because I'm disabled. And people made fun of me. My own stupid ass cousin, Tasha, and talked about disabilities while she's sitting around here about to be financially disabled. Because God has a funny way of humbling people. God has a funny way of putting people through hardships the same way I went through mine. If it wasn't for those food stamps, I wouldn't be able to fill most refrigerators. If it wasn't for TANF at one point in time when I qualified, I wouldn't have been able to get things while I was going to school because my baby's father wasn't paying child support. That's what I kept from you all. 13 payments, and she's 17 years old. 13 total payments. You do the math. But I never smear campaigned him, insulted him, or played in his face. I didn't allow it, and I didn't allow anybody else to do it. But these same people played in my face, disrespected me, betrayed me. Yet I fought for my daughter because that's my bloodline. That's me. That's the better version of me once she goes through this hardship. Because whether I'm here and when the day I passed away, the day that I close my eyes, I take my crown off and give it to her. And they say, keep your children where you can chastise them. I wasn't allowed to. I was undermined. And the worst part about it, I'm a fantastic mother. I'm a good mother. I'm just autistic. And I showed that autism doesn't make you stupid. I'm high functioning, tested gifted. My IQ is 147. It went down 16 points to 131 from a traumatic brain injury and hitting my head. I should tell you a lot. I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I'm tested gifted. I'm gifted at being an empath, art, music. I got photographic memory. I'm a little dyslexic. That's why I hate it now. That's why I memorized my musical notes. My teacher caught me in school when I played 2 hours straight music and I missed one note because I hated reading music because I transposed the notes. Those are some of my dysfunctions being autistic. I don't make two chemicals in my brain. I have been born like that because my mother didn't do what she was supposed to do while pregnant. I ended up being damaged. So I'm not low functional and I'm not delayed. We were delayed, and that's what's documented because you can't diagnose autism until a child is 3 and 4 years old. We were adopted by 3 and 4 years old. That's why it was said that. So those of you YouTubers who are playing around in records and my stupid ignorant ass cousin and her dirtbag homegirl, that's what they have to do when you're 3 underneath 3. It came out that I tested gifted and I'm only autistic. My autism came out when I became an adult. It triggered a lot of upset and pain and suffering, things I suppressed to soldier on. So imagine you get harassed, terrorized, and provoked on the internet, embarrassed and humiliated because you tell the truth, but they expounded on my emotional deficits, played in my face, and terrorized me. Imagine it's like dealing with demons. So I understood what Cardi B went through with Tasha, because it is like dealing with demons, because they have yet to face their own. People we hold near and dear and close to us. I've been faced with that, and my oath means more to me than family, because it was those elite team of officers, agents, people who looked into the situation, and they protected me when I couldn't protect myself or my daughter better than what I did. It was that elite team, FBI, Department of Justice, CIA that did intel. If it wasn't for them, I would have been murdered. I had to wait a year to tell my daughter that the car was set to blow up and that we could have died in the car. Imagine telling that to your kid, that someone tampered your car to the point that you could have spun out and died, or it was set to blow up. And imagine when a federal agent comes down and says you can't get your car back because of that. Imagine if somebody does that type of terroristic shit to you and you survive. I have every right to cry because I've been scared. I've been angry. And I've been grieving. I've been grieving for my daughter. I've been grieving for the loss of my mother and the relationship that we had. My mother's psychologically damaged from all this shit, so am I. Our relationship is over because I found out so many things. And I can't forgive her. I don't have it in me. Because all the forgiving I did for years, I never should have. I didn't have to. I want you guys to hear all of this in this presentation, because these same people destroyed my career, my opportunities, destroyed my life and the direction of my life. I didn't choose this. I just survived it. So I put my mission and my oath first, because I signed that oath when I was literally on my deathbed. My body was failing on me, and I didn't know if I was going to make it another month. And luckily, that day I was crying those tears, and I was lucid dreaming, and I felt like I was dying. My grandmother was in my dreams, and I walked to that light. My grandma told me, "I'm not ready for you. Turn around." She said, "Don't come closer." And it felt like my grandmother held me. And I walked away from that light. And I woke up and I felt better. If that wasn't God that saved me, I was supposed to die. I was supposed to die here at home. I was sick. I was on chemo. My hair was falling out. That's why I have missing teeth. I've got $5,000 worth of work that has to be done. People make fun of my teeth color. That's a natural European trait. I can get my teeth whitened. I can get teeth put in, but you can't replace the damage. I work on it every day. So when my mother played in my face about medicine, I'm like, "You're the one who needs to be on it, not me. The doctors told me so." I was the one who voluntarily said, "I'll go on medications." They said, "You don't need it. You'll be therapeutic. You're a strong young lady. We know who needs to go on medication, and it's certainly not you." So the insulting things that my mother said to me, and I went off on her, I had a right to. I've seen a lot of YouTubers who need to be on medication, 5150, 5250, 5350, because their obnoxious and insidious behavior is the reason why people don't like being on there. Content creators have had a hard time. Because the same obnoxious individuals have had a hand in being abusive, divisive. They benefited from all this because of Monica and me. They're homegirls. Tasha and Nikki and Monica, they're homegirls. I sometimes think about how we can defend people, and we're supposed to defend the defenseless. We're supposed to come to the call of duty when we sign up to defend against enemies, foreign and domestic. That includes people closest to us, and betrayal is rarely a stranger. The only thing is, I'm not Jesus. I don't have a God complex. I never felt that I had to flex any position of authority, power, or position of authority and power and use it to abuse someone. And that's what I meant by the similarity in my life. I'm not dead yet. We often think about a person wearing a crown, but we never think about the thorns. We never think about the thorns, what thorns do to the skin and the body and the hair, compared to Jesus of Nazareth, crown of thorns that he was persecuted, but people still follow him after death. My life is similar. I'm just not dead. I don't consider myself Jesus. I don't think I'm God. But I went to God and I prayed for my life. I prayed for my safety. I prayed for my daughter. I prayed for my family. And I prayed for his protection. And it was easy to do to pray for people who prayed on me. Know the difference. It is easy to strive for the benefits of power while overlooking great responsibilities. But with great power comes responsibility as well as accountability. That's something that people in position of power and authority forget along the way. It's something I've had to deal with. I found that it's easier for people to love the position of power, but they don't like the position of accountability when it comes to failure in leadership or management or mitigating. When things become harder, our integrity gets tested. Our ability to not abuse authority or power is tested. I found on page 11 of the Illuminations, people believe leadership, management, and power is an easy thing, or to maintain humbleness as you delegate. It's not easy. Plenty of people literally abuse me. I'm dealing with it now, and many of them are not deserving of that power. But who am I to say what they deserve? Eventually, God will humble them. I hope I get to watch. Hope I get to live long enough to see a lot of people be humble. I'm not worried about doing the humbling. I'm not in the position of power and authority to do it. Even if I had that position of power and authority, I still wouldn't do it because that's my karma. And I refuse to be abusive, divisive, and abuse of power and authority just because I may get it. I'm not worried about it. And, we wonder why people have positions of power and authority, and often when they abuse it, they cross the line of boundaries. We wonder why they're deserving of life such as that gives them that power. I've asked myself plenty of times, did I want to be a leader or a seeker of power, privileges that leaders receive? I found that I don't want the power or the privilege. I just like to lead. But plenty of times I've been led astray by those who have power and abused it. Imagine that. I wanted to do this so that we can change the pace, and because I felt myself getting more escalated. I felt myself getting more escalated, upset, thinking about what occurred today. Because I have a crown, golden in show, but it's nothing more than a wreath of thorns. And I want you guys to understand where it's coming from. So that is the daily illumination for today. A crown golden in show is but a wreath of thorns, John Milton. So I hope you guys learned this. We're just going to do the teaching, Overcoming Fear, Part 2. And in those Overcoming Fear, Part 2, and there, like I told you, dare to fear not. And learning how to reverse fear and dare to trust the process. Meaning diffusing, accepting discomfort, realistic goals, and embracing values. And my values are illuminated. I am abundance mindset, unified mindset. And then on top of that, the mindset to continue to go on and continue to create through barriers, obstacles one by one, and how to deal with them using dare. I want to show you guys what I did. It's not been easy. Diffusion strategies. I want you guys to understand my story, acknowledging the reason giving and the judgment. And the name of the demon, the monster, the passenger, recognized all the radios of doom and gloom, broadcasting all the toxicity, the abuse, the turmoil, torment. I survived. The things that were otherwise designed to kill me, and I survived. I want you to simply understand the thoughts come and go like passing cars, just like family come and go. Family is not always blood. Sometimes family is the people who surround you. And sometimes the people who surround you are not even family. Sometimes it's a perfect stranger that tells you to get up, keep going, keep trying. Kind of like the white boy who came along and said, get up, keep trying. Don't let them get to you. Kind of like some of the light seekers, light workers that surrounded me and said, don't worry about this shit. It'll be okay. You've been through a lot. Don't let the embarrassment make you feel less than a woman. You're an incredible mother. You're a great girlfriend. You've done everything that's asked of you. Don't worry about what people think of you. Because lions don't worry about the opinions of sheep. So I've had to be a lion even when I felt like a little kitty cat. I didn't hear myself roar until I spoke up for myself. Acceptance strategies are something that we dare to do. We observe it like a curious scientist. And we rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. We begin to breathe in, breathe out, become mindful, dropping the anchor. We begin to become mindful of planting our feet on the floor. We begin to dare to fear not, trust the process, and on the foundation of bricks, we build a pyramid, emotional, behavioral, mental, psychological, and we build back the better version of ourselves. Because in my agenda is to build back better, just like any other agenda. We all have agendas in life. Mine is to be the better version of myself, to not be the emotional version of myself, to be the logical version of myself, to be the independent version of myself. And seldom do well-behaved women make history. Think about that. I haven't been well-behaved. I'm not trying to make history, but in the history books, I know what side of history I stood on, what was right, what was just. I got punished. I was the scapegoat. I was the whipping girl. My daughter got punished. She was the scapegoat. She was the whipping girl. And they say, just like I watched and looked at that Marine poster, and I thought of my sister, the Marine, the devil dog, simplified, salute, the one that's always ignored, the one who's always been overlooked, was Shira, the one I used to call her Shira, Princess of Power, because I couldn't say her whole name, because I had a stutter. So I called her Shiva, Princess of Power. She had Rainbow Bright. And I had my gem and holograms dolls. My sister, Shiva, Princess of Power, used to sit there and mess up my dolls and keep hers in the box, her little Barbies. And Shiva, Princess of Power, was always my hero. And sometimes heroes don't always wear capes. My sister, I call her Pinky, Shiva. I still call her Shiva, Pinky. I'm the brain, and she's Pinky. And we both go north. Because we used to watch cartoons together, we used to fight together, we used to fight each other together, beat the brakes off each other together. I want you guys to hear these stories. Because Shiva is my hero. She was the one who taught me how to think like a Marine, act like a Marine, although I was supposed to be Navy. And all of these things are what taught me to soldier on. remember the mission. I signed an oath on my deathbed to protect against enemies, foreign and domestic. So I'm committed to that oath, even while dying to live. I had to have a realistic goal setting. I literally had to embrace my values, my core values, my IAM Illuminated, abundant, advanced values. And I had to remember what was most important, my mission, my values. Consider my mission complete as a mother, but I'll never stop being a mother. I'll never stop soldiering on. I have a job to do. I have to get well. I have to heal. And I have to recover. And I choose to do that. Every day is not easy. I'm tired a lot. My body hurts. I'm in chronic pain every day. And I still do this every day with all my vigor and all my heart. In all those diffusing strategies, acceptance, realistic, embracing values, I chose to continue if I lack the skill to learn a skill. If I lack the ability to achieve a goal, I broke it down into smaller goals. I decided to be self-disciplined, have bulletproof motivation, and I'm trying to power through some serious personal situations and grief-stricken situations. Because again, my mother told me she's going to die. I know that. She's tired. I can't be delusional. I have to be here for my daughter. I want to be here for my daughter. I know that little girl's going to fall apart. I want her to be here. But in order for her to be here, I have to be here. I want to be here. And I want to take my baby across the finish line. That's the warrior ethos. Never let a fallen comrade fall behind. She was princess of power, didn't let me fall behind. So why would I do it to my daughter? It's actually Lashira, but I call her Shiwa because I couldn't say her name. And English is my second language, and so is hers. We were broken up of speaking Spanish, primarily. So English is our actual second language, not our first one. So Shiwa, my sister, my tio, Tiha, my aunt, uncle are my other heroes. My father is also my other hero because he forced me to tell the truth. And I'm so humble enough to thank him. My father risked his life, and I don't want him to lose his. Although I'm pissed with him, and I might not forgive him, he's still my dad. He's still my hero. And not all heroes wear capes. And I want Andre to know that. I want Uncle Marion to know that. Auntie Deborah to know that. Cousin Lisa to know that. Cousin Larry to know that. I want my mom Bernice to know that. It's just some things aren't forgivable. Too much has happened. But I radically accepted this is my family. We're a military family. We'll get through all of it. Today's just not a good day. But I wanted to finish up this and share all these things with you guys. So those that are going through family issues, family problems, I'm not absolved of family problems and issues. But one thing about it, I was taught family values. So the daily illumination is a crown, golden and shell, is but a wreath of thorns. And my crown has been heavy, and it's been a heavy burden to bear. But in all that, Snotty knows it all. I hope you got the message. So I hope you guys use these levels of dare when you're going through hardship. and you're going through toxic things or heartbreaking things, that you face all the darkness, you face all the demons. Let me get a tissue because this ain't seeming to work. Just a little bit. Make it with Phoenix. I'm a lady. I don't care if players not doll, but still. I hate that. That's why I don't like crying. I snap box next to it. And as I told you guys, we have to learn how to laugh to keep from crying. Unfortunately, I ended up crying. I'm not happy about that. But I'm hoping that you guys all can laugh with me, cry with me, and you can grow with me. So tomorrow, I want to ask you some things for today, for tomorrow. I'm willing to make room for difficult thoughts and feelings that show up without getting caught up in them, and take effective action in order to do what matters. So I want us to all give it a go. Does it really truly matter to you? If it does, then what costs are you doing to avoid your feelings that make you cry, make you cuss? Like my grandma Fanny used to say, some things that make you cuss. I know grandma will whoop my tail for all this cussing. I think we're over 7,000 cuss words in 13 years. Grandma will beat my tail. Would you rather have the validity draining of staying stuck, or life-changing or life-enhancing levels of moving through pain, adjusting the sails, facing it? Or would you rather stay stuck and not move forward? So I hope those illuminations over the last couple of days bring close to home. You go back and listen to the instant replays. And then we talk about our action plan tomorrow, because we'll get back to the text and everything else so you all can learn and listen. And then as I learn and listen to you guys, and when you come on the community tab and you answer questions, and you tell me about it and I feature it, you'll be able to engage with me, get to know me past all the things that people have told you. So again, we're going to review and progress and focus on what's worked so far, what hasn't, what you learned, what else in order to reach your goal, and what choices do you need to make to reach your goal, and what are your 3 biggest priorities the rest of this year? What are your goals inspiring you to do? What might need to change? And in the community link, tell me how to plan those different following tips and tricks as you learn them. Tell me what you're going to do to make those action steps in your response. What do you need to do when you respond and put the I am somebody, I am hashtag on there, or the I am hashtag giveaway hashtag? Because when I see it on social media, I'll be able to pull it and I'll feature you. We can do it like a polo train. Have you asked yourself, what are the 3 biggest priorities to tackle your goals? One small step to make that breakthrough. How are you going to do this? Dare to fear not, trust the process. That's how. And so that's it. Thanks for being a valued viewer. I look forward to more excellent subscribers and viewership like you. Subscribers, likes, and shares are a big part of my platform. Take a quick moment to hit like, share, and subscribe to all the notifications buttons. Tell a friend, family member, because I'd love if my future viewers and subscribers could hear about your experiences firsthand, watching, viewing me, my podcast, watching my channel, getting to know me, your host, Cece, first and foremost. So also make sure you download my Apple Podcast for Don Diva Coaching, IAM Cece Coaching, and for Team World for Children, LS's Young Adults, Heart for all my babies. Even my baby that pissed me off and made me not want to stand her today. Baby, I'm always love you no matter what. I'm always forgive you, and I want to close that out. I want my little girl to know that you're loved always. To my dying day, I will always love you. All right. So you guys take care. Take you out of here with some music and shut down the show. Okay? You all take care.